Dr. Richard Allen Miller archived MRU report Iona Miller blog Iona Miller on MRU now deceased. Notes for the Dr. Richard Allen Miller, Ph.D. Project, reprint educational purposes Archives USA. Deep cover. Mankind Research Unlimited An Exploration of PsyOps and Psychotronic History Iona Miller, 2006. Someone cooked up some erroneous statements on us, but I am suing them for it and turning it over to the FBI for criminal investigation, since it was from materials stolen from our files. Carl Schleicher, 1999. Introduction. Mankind Research Unlimited, Inc. MRU, and the later Foundation, MRF, was a much less publicized version of Stanford Research Institute, SRI, located in the Washington, D.C. area. Like SRI, many strange phenomena were investigated and developed there, often at government expense. One hand never knew what the other was doing, since each project was on a need-to-know basis. No one seems able to make a coherent story of it, though rumors about connections of its director, Dr. Carl Schleicher to MKUltra run rampant. What is known as he had 10 active years of military service, 1955 to 1966, for the Navy as a war games expert, then went into exotic areas of knowledge, with a mandate to peek discreetly into the unknown. He joined the Association of Retired Intelligence Officers. He avoided marriage, saying, "My mission is different." Elsewhere, he described it as humanitarian. My ex-husband Richard Allen Miller, physicist, was recruited and worked for Dr. Schleicher as NW Regional Director of MRU, Seattle in the early 1970s. At that time, he had no personal knowledge of any MKUltra connection, focusing on his own biophysics assignments, including Kirlian photography and bioluminescence. In early 2005, I was contacted by Charles Stone, claiming to be Carl's deputy director of MRF for several years, 1987 to 92. He brought up the MKUltra accusations and told me what he personally knows in this regard, which can only be described as sketchy, at best. He promised some proof of his claims would be forthcoming from Schleicher's lawyer, but I never got it, though we continue to correspond. I would describe him as a right-wing watchdog, but was never sure he wasn't just my assigned handler. I figured, keep your enemies closer. I pulled the 6 inches of MRU files to see what I could glean, including an old Washington Post feature, dated July 22, 1973, titled, "Scientist in a Strange Land. Grappling with the Unknown on Wisconsin Avenue," by Kenneth Turin and Nancy Metters Klein, illustrated by Harold Eisen. Schleicher revealed he went to the Naval Academy, worked overseas in operations research, and spoke 6 languages, then went into war games, publishing in the Journal of Electronic Warfare. An interest in dowsing got him into the paranormal, but not dowsing for water, dowsing for Viet Cong in tunnels in Khe Sanh for the Marines. This led to a meeting with Ostrander and Schroeder, authors of Psychic Discoveries Behind the Iron Curtain, and the game was afoot. He accepted their unfiltered pile of Soviet research and paid $5,000 for translations. The Post article described Schleicher's gruff military personality and named names of photos of true believers on the wall. They included anti-gravity investigators, healers, chemists, psychics, dowsers, and neuroanatomists. They developed a low-frequency electronic device that interferes with insects' antennae. But, in typical Schleicher fashion, he tersely declined explanation with a pat answer, "I can say no more." He did say, "I consider myself an optimistic skeptic. Just because there's no supporting data doesn't mean it's bad. Why? There was no supporting data for alternating current. I've patiently listened to and been tolerant of everything anybody said. If I weren't, I might close out some golden gem." He considered the term occult an unprofessional, unscientific put-down word that turns off highly qualified people. He admits his own paranoid psychics accused him of feeding information to the CIA, and that consultants have dark forces surrounding them. In another Washington Post article, "Save the Last Trance for Me," July 29, 1973, he says, "Healers can focus energy on a spot where it's needed, through his mind control, and it flows out of his hand. A healer can sense where there's an imbalance of energy. What's in a name? Draw your own conclusions. Did MKUltra give birth to MRU, then MRF, or not? Is there plausible denial as the director claimed? Schleicher's own name, as he liked to point out, means stealth. The German translation in Oj.info dictionary is sneaker, related to creep, skulk, and slink. Was he a neural ninja? Deep background. Schleicher has been accused, along with Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, of being the mind control mad genius behind MKUltra in both Faro Press, Constantine, 1995, and by A.J. Weberman, 1, online. I can neither confirm nor deny this charge, though Carl heartily denied it to his death in 1999 and was preparing to sue Weberman, according to his private correspondence. Mind control is the ever-elusive holy grail of the spy game, with roots in the early 1950s. MKUltra's mission was complete control of the human mind, including overt and covert techniques of mind and behavior control, brainwashing, truth drugs, and mass psychological warfare or disinformation. MKUltra, officially disbanded in 1963 in the wake of Kennedy's assassination, became public when revealed to the Rockefeller Commission investigating the CIA in the mid-1970s. Did post-MKUltra research continue decentralized as underground front organizations, as has been suggested? Much of the evidence was burned and shredded by Sid Gottlieb. But we know Shri carried on and does so to this day. Carl, himself, claimed he supervised cryptography for ONI in Turkey during his military duty, which is likely true in any event. He joined the AFIO, Association of Former Intelligence Officers. Unfortunately, those closest to him are least likely to know the real story for national security reasons. Former associates of MRU confirm that he worked for NSA through his Navy position. Elsewhere, Carl admits to a background in mind control and blue sky studies for naval intelligence. His military service dates do place him in the proper timeline, but did he really have time for building the perfect assassin? We know now, for example, that LSD and hypnotism are unreliable tools for most directive purposes. Newer approaches include brain implants, directed electronic weapons, and heterodyned messages that seem to come from one's own thoughts. What was tested as a mental ability of one human to influence another has now been successfully accomplished with electronics. Next comes direct computer-brain interface. Inside MRU nevertheless, here is a sample of what can be found online, that describes the original operation and PSYOPs accusations. Inside MRU, founded in 1972, an obscure District of Columbia corporation called Mankind Research Unlimited, MRU, and its wholly owned subsidiary, Systems Consultants Inc. PSY, operated a number of classified intelligence, government and Pentagon contracts, specializing in, amongst other things, problem-solving in the areas of intelligence, electronic warfare, sensor technology and applications. MRU's capability and experience is divided into 4 fields. These include biophysics, biological effects of magnetic fields, research in magnetofluid dynamics, planetary electrohydrodynamics, and geopathic efforts on living organisms. The latter focuses on the induction of illness by altering the magnetic nature of the geography. Also under research were biocybernetics, psychodynamic experiments in telepathy, errors in human perception, biologically generated fields, metapsychiatry and the ultra-conscious mind, believed to refer to experiments in telepathic mind control, behavioral neuropsychiatry, analysis and measurement of human subjective states, and human unconscious behavioral patterns. Employing some old OSS, CIA and military intelligence officers, the company also engages the services of prominent physicians and psychologists including E. Stanton Maxey, Stanley R. Dean, Berthold Erich Schwartz, plus many more. MRU lists in its company capabilities, brain and mind control. 15. Despite vehement claims by MRU's chairman that it is not a front organization for any branch of the United States government. 16. One must treat these claims with a great deal of skepticism. Accessed from http://www.meta-religion.com/secret_societies/conspiracies/toward_a_psycho.htm. A subsequent CIA directive, summarized in a brochure on the cybernetic technique, distributed by Mankind Research Unlimited, MRU, a research front in the District of Columbia, gleefully discusses the agency's development of a means by which information in modest rate can be fed to humans utilizing other senses than sight or hearing. The cybernetic technique, based on Eastern European research, involves beaming information to individual nerve cells. The purpose, the directive states, is the enhancement of mental and physical performance. The cyborg was born. Accessed from http://www.freedomdomain.com/mindelectronic.html. In order to keep MKULTRA from being easily detected, the CIA segmented its subprojects into specialized fields of research and development at universities, prisons, private laboratories, and hospitals. Of course, they were rewarded generously with government grants and miscellaneous funding. The names and locations of some of the major institutions involved in Monarch programming experimentation are Cornell, Duke, Princeton, UCLA, University of Rochester, MIT, Georgetown University Hospital, Maimonides Medical Center, St. Elizabeth's Hospital, Washington, D.C., Bell Laboratories, Stanford Research Institute, Westinghouse Friendship Laboratories, General Electric, ARCO and Mankind Research Unlimited. Lee Harvey Oswald, Saran Saran, Charlie Manson, John Hinckley Jr., Mark Chapman, David Koresh, Tim McVeigh, and John Salva are some notable names of infamy, strongly suspected of being pawns who were spawned by MKULTRA. Accessed from http://www.think-about-it.com/conspiracy/project_monarch.htm. I would deduce that MRU, Mankind Research Unlimited, must be involved with the development of mind control technology and illness-inducing techniques. Also, these technologies must be used by these invisible personnel of surveillance station system. That's because this company first researched the area in biological effects of magnetic fields, and the latter focuses on the induction of illness by altering the magnetic nature of the geography, is obviously involved with invisible personnel to induce illness from surveillance station system. Also, under research were metapsychiatry and the ultra-conscious mind, believed to refer to experiments in telepathic mind control, behavioral neuropsychiatry, analysis and measurement of human subjective states, and human unconscious behavioral patterns, could be used by invisible operatives as mind control technologies and techniques to mind control others. Source: Some Aspects of Anti-Personnel Electromagnetic Weapons by David G. Guyat, 8 March 96. Accessed from http://home.earthlink.net/tilde-lanu76/part2a3.htm. Self-styled spook, Kenneth Thomas characterizes Schleicher as black, meaning plugged into clandestine services. Nearly all the famous names were just to provide legal and other legitimacy for work done entirely by others. Thomas claims to be an original Air Force member of MAG, Monday Afternoon Group, classified 36 to 40 levels above top secret. He says MRF was associated with Rockefeller Foundation and NSA, producing several books for them. He cites projects that worked, including selenoenzymes, correcting color blindness, medical and other uses of cesium, spinal cord injury partial reversal, a once-a-week pill that heals old brain injuries, nothing much on ESP-related things. Psychic discoveries behind the MRU curtain. MRU obtained several modest government research contracts for feasibility studies in certain human engineering and psychosomatic evaluations. As cash, it offered as principal investigators some of the leading scientists in the fields of biocybernetics, biophysics, bionics, biocommunications, psychophysics, psychology, neuropsychiatry, health and welfare research, human systems engineering, and related scientific disciplines. The MRU stable of talent and professional staff possessed either advanced graduate degrees or doctorate degrees. It was essentially a think tank, like RAND. Dr. Carl Schleicher, MRU Research and Development Director, was a specialist in biocybernetics research, experienced in the analysis and evaluation of foreign scientific developments. After graduating from the U.S. Naval Academy, B.S. Electrical Engineering, in 1956, he served as a naval line officer specializing in operations research and linguistics until 1966. He received his M.A. in political economics from the University of Cologne, West Germany, where he was engaged in advanced study at the universities of Bonn, West Germany and Lund, Sweden. He was a PhD candidate in the technology of management at American University. Before joining the staff of Psi, he was an operations research analyst and R&D engineer at the Marine Corps Development Center in Quantico, Virginia. His later work included design and development of a management system for assessing R&D projects to determine priorities, and in bionics, biocommunications, and cybernetic software systems. Schleicher had considerable management experience in both the military and industry and served as a management sciences consultant. The MRU mission statement was basically to provide an organization for scientific research, development, and application of biocommunications, biocybernetics, bionics, biophysics, superlearning, and other activities impacting the welfare of mankind. MRU claimed unique capabilities for collection, analyzing and evaluating scientific and technological developmental data, both U.S. and foreign. It offered customers assistance in determining the impact of biocommunication and behavioral science applications in their area of control, interest or responsibility. Warming up to the Cold War. Schleicher founded MRU because, for many months I have heard the comment made, fishy our government doesn't support research in parapsychology areas, as they do in Eastern Europe. It is likely these comments originated with the original MRU sources, Ostrander and Schroeder. Acting on this message, we in MRU were inspired to attempt to inquire into this. We have found that the government can, and will, support research in these areas, if such research is properly communicated to them, provides a beneficial use of taxpayers' funds, and is conducted by responsible organizations. MRU stands ready to assist any other group to obtain funds for their programs, should they so request it from us. Carl said he wanted to further and develop the works of suppressed, maligned or unappreciated researchers on the frontiers of science. These researchers and pioneers included Harold S. Burr, Ph.D., FSC Northrop, Ph.D., Leonard J. Ravitz, M.D., Wilhelm Reich, Ph.D., R.B. Amber, D.C., H. Motoyama, Ph.D., Oscar Brunler, Ph.D., Galen Hieronymus, General Henry M. Gross, Vern Cameron, John Shelley, Ambrose and Olga Worrell, Ph.D., Harold Sherman, Townsend Browse, R. Abrams, M.D., Ruth Drone, Carrie Reams, D.N., Buckminster Fuller, Nikola Tesla, D.Sc., Yogi Bhajan, Henry and John Foray, K. Radive, Ph.D., Ingo Swann, S.W. Tromp, Ph.D., L.L. Vasiliev, Ph.D., Karl von Reichenbach, Ph.D., Walter Russell, Ph.D., Gopi Krishna, Gustav Stromberg, Jose Silva, Edgar Cayce, Cleve Baxter. MRU's own brochure claimed specialties in the following: validation of the current state of the science in various foreign countries, identification of the research capabilities of foreign laboratories and experimenters, definition of techniques and methodology for data validation or potential direct evaluation and application, determination of technological state-of-the-art implications, preparation of technological forecasts and assessments, definition of systems, which improve man's relationship to his environment, determination of potential health implications, and innovative causal or preventive medical research, determination and identification of specific user requirements, determination of educational, teaching implications, development of a program for further investigations based on the particular user's requirements. Tasking areas included superlearning, man-machine cybernetic interactions, special sensory biophysical activities, brain and mind control, telepathic communications or bioinformation transceiving, bioluminescent and bioenergetic emissions, effects of altered states of consciousness on the human psyche, improvement of human performance via biofeedback techniques, innovative therapy, prosthetic, diagnostic techniques, environmental effects upon biological, human, systems, infrasonic and ultrasonic effects upon biological systems, geopathogenic factors which induce illness. MRU explored the interaction of mind and body, or energy and matter. It brought together many of the leading scientists and experimenters in the multidisciplinary field of biocommunications, which includes the sciences of bionics, biophysics, psychophysics, psychology, physiology, neuropsychiatry, cybernetics, and systems engineering. He got the help of notables such as ESP expert hypnotist Milan Reisel, and remote viewer Ingo Swann, among others. PARAPHYSICS. In the early 1970s, physicist Richard Alan Miller also worked for Schleicher under the Mankind Research Unlimited umbrella, closing the gap between the physical and the metaphysical. Physicist Miller was the Northwest Regional Director of MRU. His task was looking at anomalous phenomena, such as Kirlian photography, bioluminescence, psychotronics, biofeedback, electrophotography, distance healing, acupuncture, and psychic surgery to determine if there was any merit for future strategic studies. In 1974, MRU produced Miller's Bioluminescence, Kirlian Photography and Medical Diagnostics. It closely followed his 1972 paper on the physical mechanisms of Kirlian photography. Miller wrote a field theory for Kirlian photography. These experiments showed the effect to be a secondary emission of electrons ionizing local gases, rather than a bioluminescent phenomenon of extrasensory or spiritual importance. People were predisposed to see physical demonstrations of so-called auras, and so they attributed the phenomenon to this traditional analog, because it served their belief system. This effect also can occur among researchers where it is known as experimenter bias. However, even when Miller's finding was published as The Physical Mechanisms in Kirlian Photography, in 1975 in The Energies of Consciousness, edited by Dr. Stanley Krippner and David Rubin for Gordon and Breach, the superstitious interpretations continued, and continue to this day. According to Stan Krippner and Daniel Rubin's 1972 Galaxies of Life, researchers are divided in their evaluation of the Kirlian phenomena. Some call the manifestation corona discharge, believing that the technique only reveals commonplace electrical occurrences, while others conceive of radiation field photography as revealing the bioplasma body, or aura. According to Viktor Adamenko, a Russian scientist, c. 1970s, the discharge is the cold emission of electrons. Other contributors to these Krippner books included Edgar Mitchell, William A. Tiller, John Pierakis, Theodore Barber, David Bressler, and James Hurtick. This work was also published as part of Kirlian Electrophotography, a data package prepared by MRU. Miller's contribution was the Kirlian device circuit diagram. As NW Regional Director of MRU, the Washington, D.C.-based Paranormal Phenomena Investigation Team, Miller worked under the direction of Dr. Carl Schleicher. A large portion of Dr. Hiroshi Motoyama's research was turned over to Miller, including original strip charts. His experiments in psychokinesis showed one person's mind influencing the body of another, in the same and in remote locations. Miller also brought the problem of psychic surgery to Dr. Mote, Dean of Pathology at the UW. This incident was recounted in the National Observer, March 30, 1974. Richard Miller, director of Mankind Research Unlimited's Northwest Regional Office here, says that a study by the University of Washington's Department of Pathology showed that one man, Warder Bacon, probably had his body entered by the psychic surgeons. An X-ray before he left for the Philippines shows that he had a great amount of cancerous tissue in his liver, says Miller. He died about 2 months ago, and the liver showed no traces of cancerous tissues upon autopsy. He says that not enough is known about the healers to make a positive or negative statement. It certainly warrants a definitive study, says Miller, who also is director of the Department of Parapsychology and Paraphysics at the Experimental College of the University of Washington. To this end, Miller conducted experiments with Filipino psychic surgeon, Tony Agpaua. Perhaps the results are best described in his own words, at this time those of a true believer, although subsequent research has disclosed the sleight of hand tricks of psychic surgery, as shown by debunkers on the Discovery Channel. The former article continued, psychic surgery is an emotional issue. There have been no authoritative studies of it. AMA statistics show, says Miller, that persons who have terminal cancer have a 1 in 5 recovery rate, even after the bad news is pronounced. The key will be to determine what percentage of persons who have been treated in the Philippines recover, says Miller, who adds that he is working to have a follow-up study started. The wild blue yonder scientific progress is achieved not only by linear accumulation of knowledge but also by nonlinear paradigm shifts. These shifts are often forced by anomalous findings that cannot be incorporated in accepted models. Two complementary methodological principles regulate this process. 1. Occam's razor as the principle of parsimony, and 2. Plato's lifeboat as the principle of the necessity to save the appearances and thus incorporate conflicting phenomenological data into extant theories. We must review empirical data which conflict with some presuppositions of accepted mainstream science, clinical and experimental effects of prayer and healing intention, data from telepathy, psychokinesis experiments and precognition, and anecdotal reports of macropsychokinesis. Collectively, this subject matter is called blue sky research. Taken together, the now well-documented phenomena are anomalies that challenge some widely held beliefs in mainstream science. Scientists often fear that by accepting the reality of these phenomena they also must subscribe to world models invoking ontological dualism or idealism. We suggest accepting the phenomena as real, but without questionable ontologies commonly associated with them. For more on ongoing psi research, see Iona Miller's 21st Century Psi Research, at http://psiona.50megs.com/about.html. What's new with my subject? If I didn't include a news section about my site's topic on my homepage, then I could include it here.